compilation, God Only Knows. What a beautiful song. I think a lot of people will be listening back to that song today by way of tribute.
It's gorgeous, Charlie, isn't it? I love that song. I love the Beach Boys' music, and their impact, as we've heard, was absolutely enormous. I mean, I think they were to America what the Beatles were to Britain, you know. They were America's Beatles, and there was some friend, Brian Wilson and Paul McCartney. I mean, this album, here it is, look, Pet Sounds, inspiration for the Beatles' Sergeant Pepper, because when Paul heard this record, he was so inspired by it, he felt that he wanted the Beatles to emulate it and create something even more spectacular. And that's when that friendly rivalry began. It's a beautiful record, and you're absolutely right. God Only Knows is one of the great songs.
Yeah, Bob, so there's so many elements to this, isn't there? One is the you know, how lovely the music was and the technology that was behind it. And then Brian Wilson himself, who I know you met, and people maybe are learning more about him today as they're reading about his life and the troubles he had along the way, which were significant and really affected the, you know, what he could contribute to the world of music in terms of his performance, live performances, for example.
Yes. I mean, it was an amazing thing. I recorded the Beach Boys story for Radio 1 in 1974. So I spent pretty nearly a month with my producer, Jeff Griffin, in Los Angeles, talking to the Beach Boys, and everybody connected with them. And I spoke to the head of Capitol Records, which was their label at the time, who described Brian as having changed the face of American music for the next 30 years. And that weight of expectation, I think, was a lot for him. He found it very, very difficult in his own mind to kind of live up to the way other people had seen him. And he took to his room famously, you know, for about 3 or 4 years. And actually, Jeff and I were amazed and privileged to meet him just for a few minutes in 1974 at his house in Bel Air with his wife, Marilyn. And it was 2 years later that we actually recorded another interview with him, a proper interview for the Old Grey Whistle Test. And that's on the BBC Archive Instagram, actually, so people can watch it.
I think people start putting some stuff on Sounds as well, BBC Sounds, and we can listen to a lot of the interviews as well, Bob. Morning, it's Naga.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Naga.
Hello, Naga.
Hello. They had so many great hits and so many wonderful kind of sounds. What was the defining, or what were the defining songs that marked kind of changes in their direction, you know, changes in what they were exploring in terms of songwriting?
The main one was Good Vibrations in 1966. It was so revolutionary in its construction. Brian Wilson was a massive fan of Phil Spector, and when you listen to the
archives, you know, and also kind of playing some old albums of the Beach Boys and just reminiscing and enjoying what we had the pleasure of being given. Bob, it's always a joy talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Naga.
Take care.
Thank
Bob
you.
Harris there.
Let's see, time.